Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll. You're in the Momo zone, and today I have a very, very special guest, my dear friend, the ultimate bass maker, Sheldon Dingwall.
Momo, how are you?
How are you, my brother? So good to have you here. Thank you so much for coming down. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man, and it's been a wonderful hang so far, and thank you so much for that.
Dude, it's always an honor and a pleasure to have you in the zone and to get to see you in the flesh past the internet. So let's talk about just a couple of things today. You happen to be in Montreal.
Love Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal loves you. So do I. And you're kind of like a touring guy in the sense that I've never really seen a president of a bass company, a bass luthier company, master such as yourself, really go ahead and travel around the world to meet their retailers, the people, the fans. And I mean, you've pushed it to the outer limits, so let's talk a little bit about that, because I think it's a really rare thing, and people really enjoy to see, from what I see and what I know of you, that you're attainable, you respond to people, you give them the kind of information they need to do, and nobody really does that in the world that I've ever seen. How does that come about?
Man, it's a blend of probably five different influences. My number one mentor, Glenn McDougall, first electric guitar manufacturer in Canada. People would go over to his shop, and if you weren't sold on a Fury guitar, after you spent time with Glenn and he explained, the philosophy behind his designs, you have these aha moments where it's like, oh, okay, I get it. It all makes sense now. Mm-hmm. And so that content, that face-to-face explanation, I found really, really important. And so there's that. And then as a kid, just watching my parents do their thing. And my dad was a minister, and he had a big personality, took up lots of room. And, it was like the Stewie show. His name was Stuart. It was the Stewie show when you met him, and everybody loved him for that. My mother was the opposite, and she would be more able to draw something out of somebody, and she'd be really interested to hear their stories. Dad would tell the stories, she would listen to the stories. And so I go to a trade show, and there are times when I need to be a bigger personality and push things forward. And then there are times where I really enjoy hearing the stories of especially our customers and how they've used the basses. I've heard stories where playing our basses, they attribute it to helping them get through deep depression or giving them a purpose and making them feel like, hey, life's worth living, because before that they didn't feel that way. And so things like that. We've had people that were terminal, and they ordered basses to be with them as they passed. And so being able to hear that from them, or just the stories about the albums they recorded, it's really cool. And then I remember as a kid, before I started building guitars, Laredo and one of the luthier, I can't remember his name right now, but they did a cross Canada tour, and I read about it in the newspaper, and I thought, oh, that's so cool. I wish I could have been there. And so just as the excitement of being able to go hear the story of somebody who was building guitars, which I thought was kind of an exciting thing to do back then, I thought, maybe more people would feel that way too.
Wow, man. And some of these things that you're saying about hearing these stories from people, I don't think you would have heard the same kind of stories if you didn't show up, versus having to wait till you see something that shows up online that winds up telling you something like that. You know what I mean? The fact that you show up, people are just like so enamored that you would sit down and take the time to talk to them like a freaking rock star. You know what I mean? But
it's awesome.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and we live in such a disconnected society these days that I'm still a big believer in if you can see the person's eyes, you get so much more of the communication. Only so much is coming through words. The rest is through expressions and emotions that show up on your face. So I really do enjoy the face-to-face.
That's amazing. Now we're both from Canada, mm-hmm. and as you get to travel around, you really get to go in and out of like completely different cultures.
Yeah.
Right. And where the common element is still that same thing, it's music and bass, right?
So, how many languages in the world? I have no idea. Hundreds, thousands, probably. But the language of music, it's universal. Everybody understands it, and it attracts similar personalities. And I've met bass players in China, in communist countries. I've met bass players in Morocco and Europe and Canada and South America. They're all the same people. Like you could put them all in a room, and they'd all be getting along, and they'd all be cool, and it'd all be a fun hang. It's really cool.
Wow, man. So, in other words, your bass and your traveling becomes like a bridge that brings all these people together that could just come across and bring all their common elements together in the joy of music and
Yep.
bottom end and bass.
All have the same goal. Just want to put music into the world. And the world, it doesn't need any help to go into a negative spiral. It kind of does that on its own. It needs no help from us. And so the musicians are all there adding, filling it up with their music and their art and adding to the positive balance.
Wow. What's your favorite thing about doing all this traveling?
Oh, I really like cultures. I really like meeting people that are different. And maybe it's an ADD thing, but I really like adventure. I kind of like the feeling of being lost and not knowing where I am, because your senses are all heightened and you have to pay attention to where you are. You can't be lost in thought. You've got to be 100% in the moment, and it can be a scary feeling, but it also makes me. It's a little bit like stage fright. It reminds me of that. Super uncomfortable when I was a kid, but now I miss that feeling. I miss that sort of knot in my stomach. I've got to perform in a few minutes, and I've got to kill it. Otherwise, I'm going to feel terrible. And so there's a lot of pressure on, and I miss that feeling.
Wow. Now, when you go through that process, how much of that will influence you when you get back to the home base when it comes to your creation for bass, for your next product, improvement on products, or something new that's going to come out? How important is that to you as a fuel to keep moving on? Because you do not repeat the same pony every time. I love the way you like to evolve. No matter how small the detail, you give it that long form thought before it comes out. So
Yeah, sometimes overthinking, obsessively so. I think that comes from a place of maybe even unhealthy. In 10 years I'll look back and maybe figure it out. But I see so many people that are so good at the craftsmanship of guitars that I'm almost afraid to show what I can do, because they'll realize that, no, this dude has no talent.
no,
And so
I don't think so.
and I think a lot of artists go through that. The well runs dry temporarily, and you're like, was I ever capable? And like, what happened? And so I think there's power in insecurities, and it drives you forward, and it makes you try harder than if maybe I was more confident and I felt like I didn't have to work as hard. But I feel like I have to work as hard or harder than I ever did, just to maintain the momentum.
I used to feel exactly like that too when it came to my playing and stuff like that, when I played with bands, and exactly that kind of pressure you're talking about. And then one day, when I just went bass and drums, where there's nowhere to hide,
Right.
right? That kind of freed me, because it let me think more open. You can really hear what's going on. And I said, you know what? Just become yourself, create your own style. And it's not about being in competition with anybody or what anybody thinks. If you can live with it and you're happy with it and you're ready to carry on and keep moving forward, then I think we're in a good place. And you have 100% done that through the whole journey of the whole time I've known you. Coming from being a guitar player to making one of the world's most successful bass companies by the power of listening to people, being a good listener.
Gotta listen. Yep.
And reacting to what these people say. You know, a lot of people could go blah, blah, blah. It goes in one ear and they do nothing about it. But not you. You did something about it the whole way through.
It gets cataloged, and then it's like a library you pick from. And I can I've experienced a little bit of what you're talking about, that the not caring, and it is super freeing. And
It is.
I think it allows you to be creating more authentically your own. And I've started to feel that recently, but I'm nowhere near what you're talking about that you've been through.
Amazing. Okay, so now I want to talk about one more thing. Let's talk about the new bass that you just came out with. So we have an SP1, it's called. What a nice name. And I got to tell you, having played this, it feels freaking awesome at every level. Let's talk about this. What's happening here?
Well, I mean, thank you. You know, a lot of people question, why would you do I guess in the world of building, this is like a cover of another song, and this is our version, and tried to be as respectful to the original as possible, and try and add our own spin to it, so that it's something that reflects a tone that I don't know. It's hard to describe tone, but I have a very specific way of hearing bass, and it's guided how our basses sound. And I'm very thankful that a lot of people appreciate that. Not everybody, of course, because there are all kinds of different tones for different needs. Long story short, so this is our version of a more traditional instrument that would allow you to play with what we feel are advantages: multi-scale and really clear and transparent pickups, and a really simple, solid, great sounding bridge, and all the tweaks that we do to try and increase the balance. This horn has been stretched, and hopefully nobody ever notices that. You have to be told that it's been stretched, and you have to be told that this has been cut away. You have to be told that the body's thinner. It's not in your face, it's subtle.
It is.
Anyways, long story short, I try to blend what we found to be the most exciting and useful changes that we've added to instruments, and put it in a traditional package, so that you can play traditional music, but the instrument's capable of taking it to a new level.
Yeah, because to me, yes, Dingwall has a particular sound. I can actually, with my eyes closed, recognize a Dingwall just with my ears. Doesn't matter who plays it. There is a kind of a gong, piano, boing, kind of banging kind of feeling that comes out from the combination of, like you said, the woods, the bridge, the pickups, the fan frets, the whole ball of wax. I really do think that your frets also, and I've asked you this before, having those more smaller kind of narrow frets, you get to hit more of the wood sound that comes out with it. And that's what I kind of, my ignorant part, that I, lack of knowledge, kind of think it's part of what I'm hearing in this bass. There's more wood sound that comes out of it that wraps up the sound, but the gong is still there from the knocking of the fret and everything that's sitting here. I don't know what's going on, but it's very recognizable.
Yeah, it's a spectrum of the bass with the most sustain in the world to the bass with the least amount of sustain in the world. And we try and find a balance somewhere between, because the more sustain the instrument provides, the less wood tone you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And in the other direction, you get more wood tone, less sustain. So somewhere in the middle is a balance, and that's what we aim for. And hopefully people appreciate it.
Well,
but fret size, for sure. Yeah, that came from Sklar. Lee Sklar even goes up one size smaller in frets, and you actually hear, even from the small fret to his really small fret, you'll hear a difference in tone.
So let me get this straight. Is it like a banjo fret and a mandolin fret?
Sklar uses the mandolin size frets.
Yeah, and this is a banjo size fret?
Banjo size, there's a crossover there. So this would be a 60s Fender fret, and it would be used on Martin acoustics. And so it's a very commonly used fret, just not common on basses.
I don't know, man. Every single freaking Dingwall gives me a thrill when I play it, and I got to tell you, you did a absolutely superb job on something that really resembles and feels as good as your total custom shop stuff. I got to tell you, it's and at an affordable price, and this comes in what, 2 other colors, right?
3 other colors. We have a green that's being shipped to us right now. It's on the water somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
And we should have it in. Oh no, we just got them.
Oh,
Yeah, so
coming soon.
those greens will be shipping soon.
So green, black, and gold with a gold pickguard?
Yes, it's not. We came out with a black and gold concept, and the gold was too punchy, and so I really learned something interesting about pickguard colors and finish colors, and just how if the pickguard is too loud, it jumps out at you visually, and it takes attention away from the whole. Mm-hmm. And so we played with the gold, and we added more of a cappuccino color to it, and that subdued the gold, and it brought it back in balance with the black. And it was really wild just how all of a sudden the instrument went from looking kind of cheap to looking expensive, and the only difference was the color of the pickguard.
It's amazing about those subtleties, right? It's fashion.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference. A little tweak, and all of a sudden, it's like everything falls into place. It's like a mix.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. So, what's the next step for Dingwall? What's going on next here?
Well, the immediate fires that we're trying to put out are tariff related, and that's created some challenges, but it wasn't something that we weren't already planning for even before they happened. So we've got several different approaches that we're working on concurrently, and as the landscape keeps changing, we keep changing with it. And what else? We've invested a lot in our custom shop, and so the custom shop is running better than it's ever run. It's more organized than it's ever been. They have better machinery than they've ever had in the past, and we just keep trying to make it a cleaner, safer, friendlier environment for these guys to work in, so they can be free to do the best work possible. Not that we want to drive them to be the best for us. We want to drive them to be the best for themselves and for our customers, and so everybody wins. We all rise together.
Moshi, that's one of the things, again, I love about you, how you include the customer, the people that work with you, the team, the whole thing. You've always been a great team player, and honestly, it's truly felt. And what can I tell you, man? I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you've done for me and my wife, Karila, and how cool it is to know you for all these years and remain in touch and as friends. And I truly respect everything that you have built and done, and the world loves what you do, man.
Man, thank you so much. I love and respect what you do. I love how you've built this world where you get to be creative 24/7. It's unbelievable.
Well, this is what we have in common. We got to create and stay positive and keep moving forward. So on that note, people, you've heard it direct from the mouth of Mr. Dingwall himself. I'm Momo. This is my buddy Sheldon. And check out the new SP1s, my friend. They are killer basses. I love the feel. I love the sound. I did some really cool demos that I'm going to bring out to you guys to check out.
Super
and
cool.
Yeah, you also got a Nashville. Wait a minute, just before we go, the Nashville, that Nashville bass that you got too.
Yeah.
I did a demo on that too. You guys got it. Now that is freaked out. The way you got that pick guard looks insane, man. It totally changes the look of the bass. I love it.
Well, thank you. And that came from that place of not caring about what people thought. just being free to break the rules.
And that's the first bass he has ever made with a frickin' blend knob on it. That's some information we will bring to you at another time that you can read about when he puts it out. But Sheldon's pushing the boundary and some stuff for you guys, and you got options, great preamps, great basses, great human being, great company. You guys totally rock, and have an awesome day.
Cheers.